One. John, Justin, I believe we are live. How is it going this beautiful Tuesday?
It is going right, Stetson.
All right. For folks joining us live, we are having a chat on generative AI and if it's hype or valuable tool or perhaps IT security threat. Please drop comments on YouTube. We'll show them and perhaps field some questions as folks drop in. John and Justin, why don't you guys give us kind of an intro to who you are and what you're up to?
Sounds great. John, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go ahead. John Harden here. Stetson, thanks for having me on here. I'm really excited for this opportunity here today. A little bit about myself, 16 years in the industry. That means half of my life is in this industry now because I started at 16. And so Stetson and I were backstage joking. We have a lot of overlap, but over those 16 years, telecom, software engineer, entrepreneur, now post-acquisition, leader inside of Auvik on strategy, and in charge of some of the AI transformation going on in our company. And so I get to talk about AI here from both a technical lens, but also a little bit of that workforce transformation lens that I know a lot of people are super intrigued on. So excited to be here. Justin, go for it.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, Stetson. Echoing John's statements around thanking you for having us. My name is Justin Ong. I'm also with Auvik. I'm the director of brand and community, which is basically, I guess, a little bit about myself. I also used to work as an MSP many years ago, many moons, and then eventually realized that I actually just liked talking to MSPs and IT pros more than I actually liked doing the IT work. So that kind of brought me over to the biz dev marketing side, and I've been with Auvik for about a year. And my goal is really just about connecting with folks, helping to understand, their needs as it pertains to the services that Auvik provides, and to help build a community, getting you find folks together to help solve some problems.
Yeah, fantastic. Of course, we'll talk about Auvik just a little bit. I know you guys do some network management stuff, but this is primarily not a sales pitch. We're talking about generative AI today. So I think we get right into that, and then maybe we'll talk about Auvik a bit later, if that's all right. For folks, we got a comment from Andrew. I need to update my photo on here. Got some professional photos. Awesome, Andrew.
It looks pretty good, Andrew. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I like the brick background.
It's better than I did, right? Mine's like just chilling by Cisco. So thanks for joining us, Andrew. We're going to get right into it. Did you have something?
I was going to give Andrew a tip.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Our director of product update his image with AI tools. There's some really good AI photo
headshot generators, right? Yeah.
Such an easy use case.
Give us like two.
Yeah.
What should he use? Which product?
I'll have to ask. I'll get back to him.
All right. Killer. Yeah, there you go. Brandon says use AI to update your image. Awesome. I'm going to now briefly introduce the topic. I'm not reading from a sheet here, but the topic today is generative AI, which is not just changing IT. It's changing many industries, in fact. But today, we're talking about how it could be creating new security threats that most companies aren't ready for. And myself, I recognize the importance of this topic, but I love AI, so I don't want to, put my own org into danger, or I don't know what's going on. What's
you love AI too. I think that should be clear up front. I mean, John and I are both huge AI advocates. I mean, John especially. He can kind of tell you a little about his role within the company, which part of that, among the many hats he wears, is actually increasing AI adoption within Auvik to dumb marketers like myself. And so, it by all means, we are really excited and thrilled for the potential that AI has. It's just that there's, you cannot go full bore into it and just, expect everything to come up daisies. And that's really, I think, one of the main things that we are trying to get awareness of. And I think a lot of IT pros and MSPs feel the same way, dealing with a lot of their customers that may or may not be sucked into the hype that AI has, and just to be aware that there's some additional things that you need to think about if you're going to be using it. So, John, talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think I have a unique vantage point. First off, this has been one of the first topics ever in my life in IT transformation where all the leaders across all sort of businesses are sharing really actively what they're learning, because it's just happening at such a high velocity. And so what I'm going to share is going to be really just pilfering from other smart people. But there's two layers to really focus on AI transformation. You have the workforce, you have the technology. You asked about cyber, Stetson, so let's talk about that. Getting into AI and implementing AI is basically the end goal, but there's so many steps that need to happen in between there that jumping right in is something that a business should be wary of. And I just distill it back, right? Because AI is only valuable with the data it has. And then the only way you can know what data to put into AI is by having a proper data governance strategy and a data classification strategy and a plan on how you'll take the data in your business and put it into AI to get actual value. Don't like misinterpret that, right? There's a lot of AI value in the open models, but to really get that core value out of your business, you'll need data into it. So whether it's Copilot or OpenAI or whatever you use, you got to take your company data in there. That's when the magic happens. But if you roll back from data governance, then it's about knowing where your data lives. So it's about understanding all the sanction data and all the shadow IT data out there. And then if you even take it like a very layer back, and this is what I love about cybersecurity, if you keep asking what, and you go all the way to the top, you get to assets and you get to asset classification and you get to data classification. And it all goes back to, what you have, what your data is, how it's classified, and how you feed into it. And so with regards to businesses looking to jump into AI, I think the only piece of advice I would be saying is to be cognizant of the data you're putting into it. Bleeping Computer just put out that article with 14,000 MailChimp keys and AWS keys in its data set that just got leaked, in the last couple of days, or it's probably been in the model forever, but just got announced a couple of days.
Wow. I don't know if I saw that article. Be sure to, we'll find a link and post it for folks. But something I think we should go a little bit deeper on, John, that you mentioned. We will get to some of these threats and ways folks can perhaps get around them or mitigate. But that quote, like, how will your org actually get value? In other words, make a plan. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how can orgs put a plan in place rather than just hearing buzzword AI? Okay, let's implement it now.
Yeah, so I think one of the very first things that businesses have to do is to spill a little bit of the FUD. Like, you need to share with your employees. And Stetson, I'll pull just a funny little slide up here for you that I think, or not that I think, I know we're going to be presenting to our company. Is just you have to dispel this FUD, because here's the thing: employees are a little worried. It's not showing here, is it?
No.
Employees are a little worried. Forbes article just came out and said that 52% of employees fear AI at work. And that is a really strong statistics. Like, that is a high level. I think we got it there, Stetson. That's a high level of fear. That's a high number. I mean, you have to do the Terminator in the background. And then as 41% of companies are saying they're planning to use AI to replace roles. And everywhere in the media you look is talking about AI displacing employees, AI getting rid of jobs, AI getting rid of, roles. And if you're an IT worker, you're starting to think, well, are they looking to use AI to replace me? And so the very first step of really transforming an org and leveraging AI successfully, I think, is working employees through the change management that comes with something this big. And what I mean by that is, like, being clear to your employees what your goals or your intents are with AI, communicating to your employees. At our business, we're gonna take the super agency route, which is make everybody better and not replace roles with AI. But like, let the employees know what your plans are so that they can be part of it. And then from there, I think it's about education. Fundamentally, you have to educate the employees on how to use them in the acceptable use policies. You have to help employees understand how to roll them out and how to be strategic about it. You have to maintain your data GRC plans, and you have to have a whole strategy around what that's going to mean for you. But your employees need to be bought in. This isn't like just another piece of technology that exists. Like, this is now part of the business, just like Google Docs or Microsoft Sheets or whatever you're using. Like, this is a productivity tool that's part of every business, and every employee is impacted. And so you just have to communicate, educate, and then get your strategy out there so that way everybody can be part of it.
John, can I ask you, what do you feel like are kind of the key elements of a successful AI strategy? Like, what are the big questions that folks ought to be asking themselves?
I think that a successful AI strategy has to include the intent and the plan that you're going to roll out with your employees and how they're impacted. I think that's probably like the number one thing, because I mean, everybody's seeing the articles. If you pull up your phone and you're on LinkedIn or on any news article, you see it about Silicon Valley laying off jobs left and right. And what happens is when people go through that like J curve, if you're not familiar with the J curve, I wish I had the graphic to pull up quickly. But people go through the J curve, they go through fear, and then they go into denial, and they go into grief. They go into these really like negative emotions around it. And as leaders, it's your job to navigate them through the J curve of change. I love this, Stetson. Thank you. So the J curve of change, which basically you can accelerate. At the very beginning, it talks about like you learn, you kind of go up a little bit, and you talk about you're excited, and then you start to learn a little bit more as you get further in the Dunning-Kruger vertical here. I love it. Thanks for pulling that up. That second one looks like it's decent with all the chasm. There you go. No, that's product market. That's okay. Like people initially they react, they get scared, they get fearful, and then they go into denial. Like this isn't going to impact my job. And when they're in those states of fear and denial, what ends up happening is that they push back against the technology adoption. And they say, nope, we're not going to use AI. I've seen it across orgs everywhere where engineers are like, no, it's not going to displace my job. I'm not going to use it. It's not good. It's not going to make my life easier. But the reality is that we know it's coming, and it's our job as leaders to communicate to employees our plans so that they don't have that FUD sitting in the back of their head, and that choice not to adopt AI because they're scared of what it's going to do or mean for them.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a solid plan for anyone, is just being open with communication, right? I will add perhaps a resource. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but the World Economic Forum released a Future of Jobs report. They interviewed 1,000 companies, and 86% of respondents expect AI and information processing tech to transform their business by 2030, along with lots of other stats and stuff. I'll throw a link, or maybe we'll share that. But maybe a good, is it segue? Seg? I always get that wrong. Segue, yeah. John,
the thing that you dried.
Yeah, that thing, right? It's a device. Anyhow, yeah. John, you mentioned doing some work at Auvik to kind of guide strategy for how they'll use AI. Can you give us a peek into what that looks like and kind of strategy there?
Yes. So I shared a link, Stetson, that might be useful for those who are looking to try to mirror what we're doing. It's McKinsey Digital's study. They call it a super agency. The goal and the idea is that you turn everybody into a superhero, basically, at the organization. You bridge those gaps and those divides and skills and gaps that people don't have, and you maximize the team that you've got with AI. It's chock full of data for the people looking to try and really make change in their org. Strategies, for now, we're a fairly limited team, and I think this is going to really resonate with a lot of folks. We don't have dedicated headcount across the org for AI transformation. We're not an enterprise that can pay Deloitte or Ernst & Young to come out and do big webinars and seminars for our employees. And so a lot of it is just passionate individuals. And we're finding those passionate individuals at our company and trying to raise them up as teachers and peers for other employees. But we're doing it in two paths. One, we're boiling bottom up. And this term's a little bit aggressive, but like I say, we're carpet bombing the organization with education. We are just giving them all the opportunities to learn, try, and fail in a safe space. Meanwhile, I've been meeting with leaders across the organization. Justin can attest to this, and maybe he can share his experience. I've met with at least 20 department leaders, and I work with them, and I sit down with them for 30 minutes, and I use ChatGPT at least in CGPT Enterprise Pro with their custom GPTs, and I build an automation for them, and I just show them how silly and simple it is to do something like that. And so what I've seen is, as a result of educating the department leaders, is it's starting to impact the way that they're talking to their team members. And as a result of that, it's starting to trickle down. And then once the education gets carpet bombed across the organization, it can kind of work its way up. And my hope is by hitting both fronts, we meet somewhere in the middle here, and we are able to see some of the benefits of the super agency. And that's kind of some of the tips that McKinsey Digital walks through in this document. So I'm not a McKinsey Digital rep. I just really like the way they look at it.
Yeah, fantastic. We got a comment from Damon. I don't believe we were glitching. I think it's working for everybody else, but maybe you can't see this. Carter said, better make a ticket for that. John, what I love that you just talked about is we merely met 30 minutes ago. I'm learning about what you do. I think it's really interesting that you're able to come on to streams like this and educate the broader IT workforce on some of these things, but also your internal organization. I do want to dig a little bit deeper. It sounds very interesting, showing some of these custom GPTs and things. Can you give us anything concrete, like a process you've automated or helped some folks out with?
Yeah, I'll start with that because
Justin,
I help someone tremendously on my team. So one of the things that we do in the brand team is obviously we manage the social media presence on LinkedIn and other places. And a company like Auvik, there's kind of always stuff going on, whether it's new promotions that we're doing, new feature releases, press releases, or just, hey, Justin and John are speaking on, this live stream, make sure to check it out. And so we have this process where people have to fill out a Jira ticket with a creative template that talks about like, how do you want this position? What are the, what include, what social copy and et cetera. And it's great and it's worked, but honestly, like getting people to write social copy within an organization, if it's not there, you're talking about like a product manager, it's not really their MO. It can be really challenging. They just don't know how to do it. And so John was able to help out. We have a woman on my team named Cece who oversees everything. So John created a Cece bot, is what we call it, which just allows you to take whatever it is you're talking about, whether it's an ebook asset, whether it's an event, dump that into the GPT, and it will step by step walk you through exactly what you should put into not only the creative request template, but also the Jira ticket as well. And we just launched it, and it's been a tremendous help already for Bob, who is our PR person, who's amazing at getting placements within agencies and publications. Social copy, again, not his forte. And so having something like this is a huge help for him to be able to just get something started where he feels comfortable kind of taking over from there. And yeah, it seemed like, John, it took you 10 minutes to get set up? Like, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Can I jump in here, Stetson? I saw you pull yourself off.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I want to talk about that case. A few things I've learned since then, even with that case. First, shame on me. I named her CC bot. I know CC's not offended, but after about the third time in the org that I'd named a bot after somebody, I realized that's really bad practice. And so it's, even if it's
why is that?
Why do you not name your AIs after employees that are replacing their jobs?
Yeah, is that threatening?
It's a Terminator photo. So one, I learned that. And two, I have a really similar series of questions. So here's what I've been doing with each department manager. I'm at about 50% of department managers I've met where I build a custom GPT with them just to prove that something's possible in 20 minutes. And I always start the conversation with, give me something that takes about 20 minutes of your week, every week, that is fairly repeatable, something you just have to do. It's just part of your job. I'll give you an example, all sort of examples here, Stetson, because you asked for real world examples. I went with our accounting team, and we have the person who handles the front of our accounts receivable email, right? And they say, hey, how do I upgrade my subscription? Or, hey, how do I, update from credit card to ACH? Or, really rudimentary questions. And while she's done this many, many times, still takes time to type it up, still takes time to go pull the documents, still takes time to put all the process in place. And sometimes she gets a curveball. And so we uploaded all the public wiki knowledge into a GPT, and she can copy the email, paste it into GPT, and it'll write the email back to the person, and she can just email it back to the person step by step. We did this on all sort of areas right now. So I'm kind of excited on some of the new stuff we've got coming. So onboard automation from when a deal gets closed. If you're in an MSP or in a SaaS company, or think about it, like the AE says a lot, the account person on the other side hears a lot, bridging the divide between when the account gets sold to when the person gets onboarded. We've automated it by analyzing all those transcripts and giving really fleshed out onboard notes. Same can be said on any sales handoff motion. And realistically, if you're in the IT space, anything can be said. Same can be said on like an IT handoff. If somebody else is picking up your ticket, getting a real quick AI synopsis of where the status is of this ticket. I would imagine there's all sort of use cases across the spectrum. I've ran into onboarding with our team where right now there, for instance, we do demos internally of our product and our reps have to actually get graded on them. We're going to analyze the transcripts and do a first pass with automating reviewing of transcripts to give them a grade and pain points to look into before they submit their final submission. And so look for those 20 to 30 minute things that take a lot, they're really repeatable. They're tasks that you can do. They're taking, and predominantly, here's a big piece, unstructured data, and they're converting them into structured data. So in Justin's case, I want to post about me going on live with Stetson, and here's all the cool things about Stetson. Here's the cool things about Auvik, and here's the cool things about what we're going to talk about. Dump it in there in context, and it structures it into a post. Those are really easy ways to find opportunities. And when you meet with somebody and you can help them see real value in 20 minutes, I can tell you, my accounting manager, he was not a believer. I don't think he'd ever use ChatGPT. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't know if you have a license, but he did make the joke. He knows the guy that can get him a license. So I'm pretty sure he has one now. It's just that slowly chipping away, slowly applying real practices, slowly getting leadership involved and making them see the wins. It all starts to kind of chip away at the progress of transformation.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for entertaining my request for but actually, what are you using it for? I'll add just a quick anecdote. I've been using what's called Model Context Protocol, which is basically, for folks that haven't heard of this, like an API or function calling for the LLM. So for instance, I hooked up one last night that integrates with my AWS account. So I can literally come into Claude and say, can you please create an S3 bucket and add 10 random files to it? Not that that's that useful, but since it has access to certain tools, it knows what to use, which function to call, what to feed it, and it works perfectly, which kind of blew my mind. And I think that's where things will continue to go. It's a little bit scary as those like agentic use cases. Right?
Well, I mean, I was using it in some free time. So I use Cursor quite a bit. I don't need to give them any more shout out. They're like one of the fastest growing SaaS companies out there.
Yeah, same here.
And so I have Cursor. I was 3.5. I haven't played with 3.7 yet. But Cursor supports MCP protocol now.
Yeah.
So you can literally say, write a Terraform document that's going to spin up this cluster, produce my code, load the AWS MCP, and have Cursor launch your Terraform infrastructure live on AWS. I mean, I feel like had I said that a year ago, like they would have like burned me at a stake. They'd
like, that's super intelligence. It's here. Right?
Who is this crazy guy? It's just so much has changed in a year.
Yeah, that's insane. I have also used Cursor quite a bit, mostly for making like stupid games and things. And there's kind of people like on Twitter or X right now making stupid games. But I this is like side conversation a little bit. I think that everybody's going to be a developer. It's going to be like the Home Depot of writing code, and I think it'll be a good thing. I think you'll see companies that are using that as a marketing strategy. Like, okay, let's make a game in an hour that's like act as a network technician in the closet or something like that. Maybe they'll just crank them out every month. But
I'm with you. I think sales engineer or sales leaders who never wrote code in their life and are integrating tools together. Just unlocking things that were unheard of.
It's crazy.
For sure. And before we get, too hyped, which I very much am, I think we should go back to our topic, which is a little bit about, okay, you can do all these great things, automate away knowledge bases, pull in mass amounts of information, search through it, launch real resources on the cloud. Maybe we should give a concrete example of, maybe why not go full bore, as I think you called it earlier, John? What could go wrong? Maybe we could do this as just like a virtual tabletop type thing.
Yeah, let's go. What can go wrong? So I pulled up a fun little supporting slide here for you, Stetson, the hype versus reality, right? Like, here's the thing. Folks like myself and yourself, Stetson, who can hack around in Cursor, and we love doing it. We're energized about it. We're always going to be on the razor's edge. But the reality is that like I said, I met with my accounting manager who said, I don't have time to learn it. It's not a priority for me. And so I think what can go wrong is organizations taking the hype, which is every company must deploy AI now, and ignoring the reality in which AI should be deployed where it adds real value. That's a huge mistake. I think, getting into, I talked about data and governance and AI use. I think there's a lot of problems out there where people are thinking that AI is going to replace jobs. I have a phrase. I wish I knew who said it. I would give them credit. I've stolen it from them like a dozen times. But those organizations that are laying off workers because they see an article that they can just replace it with AI, and they're 3 layers up the food chain and have no idea what might be really going on. I call those companies that are laying off employees to replace them with AI racing to the middle. They're racing to mediocrity. Because AI can't really replace entire jobs yet. Like, it can augment tasks and it can make employees more efficient. And yes, there's like some distinct cases in which it can. But how much more powerful could that business be had they kept all those employees and just augmented them with AI? Instead of racing to the middle, you race at the top.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question there?
Yeah.
Because I think I saw 2 different quotes, right? One was from Zuck saying that AI will replace mid-level engineers by, this says 2025, which I don't know. And then the other was from Mark Benioff. I think perhaps, I don't know if they had layoffs or what, but he had some sort of quote saying, I think they weren't going to hire devs, or maybe we're leaning into sales. I'll find the specific quote and we'll post it. But kind of curious on your take for both of those companies, Meta and Salesforce. Like, what are they up to? Is this just generating PR, or what's your take there, John?
I have a spicy Monday take on a Tuesday here.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
I have I think it's just like during when COVID came, it's just a boogeyman to be able to let off people and say like, hey, we had a reason. We don't want to call them layoffs. We wouldn't call them efficiency and optimizations or whatever for the shareholders. But like, look, I'm not bashing those companies. I really adore those companies because they've made a massive change. But Slack was down not too long ago, last week. Microsoft,
for a while.
Yeah, Microsoft went down this weekend because of a code change. We can't pull it back and say AI did that. But I get it, right? Like, if you're going to say you're replacing mid-level engineers and you're going to actually like demonstrably do it, sure. But like, your quality and your offering can't degrade. And the reality is right now that, man, like, all you're doing is handing off first order impacts into second order impacts. So, okay, sure, you can have code, you can have AI write your code. Well, what's that mean? You got more pull requests, and more pull requests means you need more code reviews, and more code reviews with lower quality code mean you've got more, challenges that your principal engineer is now sussing through because he's looking at code that was written by a mid-level engineer trying to just spit it out in Cursor as fast as humanly possible. And then you hit your DevOps pipeline where everything starts to break down. Like, sure, you might automate some areas in the pipeline and code production. They're just going to shift to second order and third order impacts. And when you lay off your whole team that knows what the heck's going on, like, those second order and third order impacts don't get solved. And so we're running into like a myriad of problems here with these layoffs because we're running into a workforce gut where there's not going to be any entry points for employees. And like, how are we going to support a workforce in 20 years if entry level people can't get in the workforce? And just so many ethical problems down there. But like, if you want to just look at brass tacks, you're only taking first order impacts and shoving them down to second order problems. And those problems still have to be solved. And you'd just be better off taking those first order people and leveling up to help solve those second order problems. So you can, again, not race to the middle, race to the top.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's keep rolling. What else is with this chart? What do we got?
With this chart? I mean, I don't know.
We covered, what was it? We had your first point. I missed it already.
And then let's see, context, understand context like a human. I wrote a good article on this one. So AI, of course, struggles with context. One of my big approaches with AI lately, and I think it's the right approach, is single purpose function AI. Over contextualizing your AI is a failure point. If I ask it to build the Terraform code, deploy the Terraform code, also take into account these security rules, also take into account my current infrastructure. Also, by the time you get to your third, also the context overload really just basically makes AI fall apart. Like we're not at that point where you could just give it infinite context and it continue to be successful. So context overload is big, but also missing context is key. I wrote this in an article. Imagine you're like you're a hoodie company. I don't know why I'm wearing a hoodie. It's like burning up in here, but like imagine you're a hoodie company and you sell hoodies across the globe and you tell AI to optimize the supply chain, and you don't include the location data, or you don't even include, not even the location data, you include the location data, but you don't include seasons or you don't include weather. I don't know. That'd be a weird thing to miss. But like all of a sudden your AI engine goes, oh, it's the middle of December. AI, let's throw hoodies on sale down in Australia. Because it doesn't have the context of the fact that it's burning up in the middle of December down in Australia.
Yeah, John, this is reminding me a little bit of like the paperclip paradox, right? Or the constraint of use any material possible. Maybe this is like doomer and crazy, but there's people that believe that. You have some super intelligence, make as many hoodies as possible, and it just gathers resources and turns the world to paperclips or goo or something.
It's a real problem because, well, that's single purpose to quite the T. I read, we learned that in comp sci class, the paperclip maximization theorem and all that like stuff.
Sure.
But I think that's the thing about it. Like, as we've gone through it, like, okay, context, under context is bad just as much as over context is bad. It's that sweet spot. Guess who's really good at finding the sweet spot? Like human workers who know AI, like finding that sweet spot and maximizing it. And then the last thing, like AI can make all the decisions for us. That's the paperclip maximizer in a nutshell, right? Like all we care about is paperclips. Maybe we don't need cars. And if we don't need cars, we don't need humans. And that's how that whole thing falls apart. But the reality is AI needs oversight, for good data to be effective. Like, we're not at that area yet. There's some people that think it's in the next 2 years. I think they're crazy. I think there's some people that think it's in 10 years. I go to this quote, and I think always goes back to education. Like most people overestimate the near-term impact and underestimate the long-term impact. And the only way that you can really stay on top of things is just staying educated. Like it's going to change at breakneck speeds, but you just have to stay up with it. Like I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know that being educated is not going to hurt when it does.
For sure. Oh, I think he clicked the wrong button there. We'll Justin, you and I will. We'll go for something while John finds his way back.
One of the things I did want to ask whenever John gets back online, going back to the last one around the decision making, and maybe getting your thoughts, Stetson. I mean, I think welcome back.
Leave studio and stop screen share are dangerously close.
Yes.
This is an FYI.
All good.
John, I was asking Stetson, and would love your take as well. When it comes to when it comes to the decision making, I mean, we've had automation, not quite AI, for quite some time. Do you feel like that line is shifting in terms of like what is like a no-brainer, so to speak, that an AI engine could make decisions on our behalf versus what still needs a human decision maker? Is it really the decision? Is it kind of the human ownership of some of these decisions? Do you feel like that will continue to slide more towards the AI side and less requirements to have a human behind some of these decisions?
Stetson, if you want to take it, I feel like I've talked a lot, but I'm happy to answer it if you want me to jump in here. Your call.
Yeah, I kind of, to be honest, I spaced out a bit as I was looking at my notes. I think you're asking about AI making more decisions rather than humans owning some of it. In my opinion, I think we're already there, right? Like my personal experience, again, just using some of these tools where the AI can call out to external resources, external APIs and different things. We already have kind of, people argue about, does AI have reasoning capabilities? Some say yes, completely, and others say no. Oh, it's just next token prediction. But I think there's a very strong use case. Like, I don't know if I could feed it like 100 things you could do in my AWS account and ask you to deploy a container and you could figure it out. Like, that's pretty damn close to reasoning to me. So I don't know. I do worry that window is just going to keep sliding and sliding. How much of our thinking are we going to outsource to the computer? And perhaps that's another like why not go full bore or philosophical question I have is like, do we still need folks that understand things at a low level? I think yes. I think you need to know how like memory management works and CPU scheduling and like all these things. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe AI will then learn that too. Like how much can we abstract away? I don't know.
I do have a take here that I think that's really impactful is I think specialization actually becomes king in the future. You talk about, will they need to know memory? I think that's the part that actually starts to matter. Will they need to know how the bits and the bytes actually start to work? That's the stuff that kind of matters. And yes, AI can get there, but hear me out. Like in a world in which general knowledge is completely accessible to anybody and any automation, specialized knowledge becomes infinitely more valuable. And so when I look at the IT workforce in the future, I think that the generalist that could fix a printer and debug bad memory and tell one of those employees they need to turn their computer on and off again, that work's probably like not going to be there. But the work that is going to be there is that really specialist critical thinking about IT transformation for an organization. And how do I do, how do I move from the cloud to the server again? Because we'll eventually go through that oscillation. We've done that like 3 times over the last 50 years, cloud to server, cloud to server. And then how do we do AI transformation? And it's going to be the strategic stuff that really, while AI maybe can assist with, when I go back to that context overload, when I think about how I'm going to change or how I'm going to drive AI change here at our organization, it's not one input, one output. It's 20 conversations, 20 different emotions, 30 different leaders, hundreds of employees. And it's not a input output. Like it's just not that easy. And so I think that actually we're going to see specialization growing. And if you're at an IT firm or if you're in a managed service provider space, like I think this is where niching becomes even more of a value add because it's going to be, who can support that Jack Henry, that Jack Henry banking system or that Henry Schein dental facility platform that sure AI can do it, but that data is just not in that middle ground of context where you just need to know it to be valuable. So I actually think antithetically, specialization will be like king in the future.
Yeah, my counter, I guess, to that is like, well, why can't you just train a super intelligent AI on like all the specialized pieces, right?
Moats, because that's the future, right? Like the future of businesses is data moats.
Let's talk about it. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's data moats. It's what data do you have that your competitor does not? Here in our business, I could pull up some metrics as I think we go into Shadow Gen AI later here, Stetson. Like we have access to all the shadow IT usage and all the Gen AI shadow IT usage. And that's one of the reasons that, we're unique on this call here because we are only having access to that. So why can't I just go train it? Because, Henry Schein isn't going to go let anybody in the world have all those scripts that they run to reboot the computer, they reboot those servers. Henry Schein's not going to let you have all that data. And if you're a business and you're looking at a future-proof yourself in IT, like what is that moat of data that you are starting to build? What is that, intangible value prop that, maybe can't ever be programmed into an AI? Or what is that data stream that your customers you're helping with that, you can't just feed into an AI model? Yes, they could start making, synthetic data is again, another topic that you could go completely down the spectrum on, but like, I think data moats are going to start to become more valuable. And again, that goes back to data. It always is funny. Let's go back to the cybersecurity story again. How do we get to our data moats? Data governance. How do we get to our data governance? Know our assets. How do we know our assets? It all goes back to that compliance and cyber story. But I'm a big fan. I think data moats create unique IP, unique value, unique offerings. The only way you can do that is like niche specialization skill sets and not maybe sharing that with people. I don't know.
Yeah. I want to go a little bit deeper on this because this is something I've been thinking about and seeing on, again, like the crazy people from Twitter and other places. So with Cursor and all these code gen tools, there's people that like to use the phrase like one shot. I just one-shotted an app, meaning like in one prompt, I have a fully fledged working app that does X, Y, or Z. And so I think there's lots of influencers, honestly, that are saying things like, yes, SaaS is going to be dead, because why would organizations pay for something when they can like hand some cracked engineer a MacBook and like go prompt, build it? Or maybe you're a solo founder that wants to topple these big giants. And so I think really what you're, I think alluding to there, John, is like data being the moat isn't just the proprietary data that you may have, but it's familiarization with the industry, it's identification of problems, of those unique offerings and processes, all these different things put together that perhaps can, again, be the moat. That's how you still win. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I think, I love your point, right? Cursor, the engineer trying to one shot it. Like, so to support that, right? IDC has data that says 65% of SaaS will be moved to agentic by 2037. Like that's the IDC data. And then you hit something which, Stetson, you shouldn't have brought up this topic because I'm obsessed with it right now. These lean AI companies, like these one-person shops.
Yeah, the billionaire single solo whatever.
For those don't have it, Henry Shee built this list. Look him up. He's the CEO of super.com, but you should share this link to your audience who wants to learn them. I'm obsessed with the idea of, $2 million in revenue per employee. Like that's what I think Cursor's at $1.3 million in revenue.
Insane.
Let's see, we can pull that.
And for folks that like maybe aren't familiar with these metrics, because I wasn't for a long time, what is like an average revenue per employee in perhaps a public company or private? Do you have any guidance there?
Yeah, in like a SaaS company, you're probably around like, I don't know, it just depends on the exact sector, but anywhere from at least 150 to 500,000. 500,000 being like a hyper, really good, strong business, but your average, probably at least $250,000 per employee in a SaaS company.
All right, right on. And so, sorry to interrupt, but what are we looking at here? I've never seen this. Top lean AI native companies. So
Henry Shea, there's this concept emerging really fast in the Valley of this like, who's going to be the first to build the one-person billion-dollar company. And the idea is like, why would I hire a marketing specialist? I can go train an agent operator who can train the specialization, who can train the SDR, who can train, like the idea is instead of hiring employees, you hire AI agents. Now I used this concept earlier. It's the race to the middle, but if you're solving like a really specific problem, like Cursor does, and by the way, Cursor's right there, number 3, AnySphere. You could kind of get away with this. And so like, I'm obsessed with it because it's super interesting. It's antithetical to the way I want businesses to run ethically, but like, I don't knock it, but look at those numbers, 5 million in revenue per employee. And just go to the right, like valuation and valuation per employee. I am not saying that every employee is equal there. I know it's not the case.
80-20, I think.
Yeah, Pareto principle it. But just say every employee at that company had equal options in this company. If AnySphere goes to sell, they're all walking away with $130 million. Like
a little bit of dough. That's a little bit.
And so Midjourney, Telegram blew my mind. I didn't realize its efficiency. But the very top one, look at it. It's absurd. Like $33 million per employee. But look, these are, you said cracked out engineers. I'm pretty sure like that's the only way you get to here. But I'll say this. By the way, I'm not knocking it. So if anybody's one of these companies that hearing this, like I'm very envious. Please reach out.
I hope they are. If you're at Lovable or Cursor or wherever, awesome.
Well, if you're one of the, how many employees here? 200 employees in the world. That, like
odds are low, but non-zero. Yeah, I'm gonna hope.
I mean, that's pretty fast.
Please come in.
Send me the maybe Mike's one. I don't know. He just said thanks, but send me the careers page.
You know what, Stetson? Honestly, I think it's probably their agents watching the video for us.
For real. Yeah, this is being siphoned off in some AT&T data center. That's my belief.
But I know this whole time I've preached about like, let's be super agencies, and that's how Auvik is going to be. And I want it to be that. And I don't want to build this top lane AI company. It feels a bit vapid. And fundamentally, if you look at all these problems, they're solving inordinately narrow challenges. It's really hard to solve big problems in this run model for now. But if you look at these lean AI companies and you think, oh, damn it, I've lost my track here, Stetson. It was a good one. But if you look at these lean AI companies, it's not what I think is to be aspired. Though I will say this here, I finally got my track back. Thanks for letting me filibuster there.
You got it.
An argument, not argument, like it's engineer to engineer. So you know how that goes. More of a debate with a naysayer on AI. And I made the point that like, I brought this up and I said, this is your proof. I don't care. Like if you just can't, like if you need any other proof, eight employees running a $12 million company, that's your proof right there that agentic companies are coming. And the point was, well, not everybody can do it. It's got to be a cracked out engineer that does it, just to use your word, Stetson.
Right now.
Today, but I'll argue one thing further. Even if it just stays the same, the blast radius of these companies is inordinately high. Like the blast radius of what any of these companies basically can do is displace 1,000 employee companies overnight. And so, yes, it might only be a handful of people that can do it, but the blast radius of these people and the impact on the industry is way bigger than it would have been 10 years ago. I don't care how skilled you were 10 years ago. Without these capabilities, you would never have gotten here. No way. So should you be worried about it? Probably. Should you be worried about them today? Probably not. Should this be a wake-up call that if you have not used AI at all in your business and you haven't played with automations, that you maybe look at it? Yeah. Because this is a very concerning future if there's only a handful of those people that have those skills, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at this and I'm inspired because what happens when every company is able to capture massive amounts of value with a few people? And there are people, the counterpoint is, oh, well, you'll need less people and the company will shrink or there'll be layoffs or things. But going back to your I think you brought up this book, Hyper Agency, or the article about that. Yeah. What happens when we build more things and we still need more people, but they're also able to provide massive amounts of value? Like, is that possible? Is that just me being too idealistic? I don't know.
Look, I'll show one more slide here. I'll drop it up here. And it's a little sneak peek for those that will be seeing this tomorrow at our company. But I did this like task. Somebody gave it to me. So again, I'm a corporate thief. Where somebody basically said, go to this New York Times article and read it and tell me what you think. And I read it and I was like, I know exactly what you're trying to share. So I'm getting it pulled up here, Stetson. So go ahead and pull that article up and we'll pull it up and we'll talk about it. Justin, you're going to see this again. We can completely tune out. But this is Humanizing the Factory. This is a 1985 article written in the New York Times. And it was about this concept of you'll see it here in a minute, but it's about this concept of people are fearful of the jobs being automated. People are fearful of organizations laying off workers and automating with robotics. And here's the thing. Every single change has these same things, right? We've got workforce transformation, profit efficiency, technology advancements, and automation, and societal impact. And these things are like common. When we had the transformation to the internet, this happened. When we had the transformation from premise to cloud, this happened. When we had like every major technological advancement, at the very beginning, everybody was terrified that this is the end of it. And we have fundamentally showed resilience that we will always continue to grow. And so while it's 20 years earlier, it's the exact same story, right? Like we don't need, yes, there's these lean AI companies we need to be terrified. But Stetson, I firmly believe that the world will just continue to evolve as it always has for the last hundreds of years with every technological advancement. And there will just be new jobs and new job requirements. And I guess my argument will be such that, yes, this is a really game-changing change. But the point is, the only people that will truly, really be left behind are the ones that dig their head in the sand and say, you know what, I'm not learning this. It's not good for me. There's no way it impacts my job. And those employees, I think it wouldn't have mattered if we were, transforming with AI quantum computing, or if we were in the next big loop, like they're going to get left behind anyway. But You go, the automotive revolution, the nuclear age, the green revolution, the digital revolution, globalization, these I'm reading off a list. I'm not this smart. But like you take all these people, all these events, we've always started with this same FUD of, will there be jobs on the other side? Yes, there will be jobs on the other side for the people that choose to stay educated and choose to maintain, the status quo and a parallel skill requirement of your peers, right?
Yeah. John, what would you say was the last major paradigm shift like this? Would you say like the internet?
Probably the internet. A very closer one that I liked, a good way to look at it is probably from web to mobile. The internet is a great analogy, and I think it's probably the closest to AI as far as impact. But I like mobile to web because it makes you think. Like the reason that MySpace is displaced with TikTok and Instagram, beyond the fact that like they put you into brain rot algorithmic loops, I'm not hating it, but like beyond the fact that they've really tweaked the algorithm since then, the original thing that gave them their difference was that mobile first companies didn't have to pick up all of the legacy debt of their web competitors. And so we saw so many mobile first companies emerge and take on their web variant competitors because they didn't have the debt of carrying the old website. I think the same transition is going to happen here with AI first companies. And so if you're listening, that's an opportunity, right? Like how do you become AI first if you're a startup or entrepreneur, or if you're a small, lean machine, how do you really lean into AI now to be competitive against your peers in the industry? And so I like that one because from web to mobile, there was no reason that the web competitors couldn't have ever beaten the mobile competitors. They just had to pick up a lot of weight and go there. They were a little too late to shift. And those mobile first, or replace the language with AI first companies, are going to show that disruption to, you said it earlier, Stetson, the Benioffs and Salesforce. And why do I need structured data object contact CRMs when I could just sit at my desk and say, hey, Mr. CRM, what do I do today? And it gives me my top 50 leads and my top 12 accounts to touch and point with and all those things. So a lot of transformation, but I just wouldn't be that scared as long as you're staying on top of it and staying educated.
Yeah, I love that viewpoint. That's complete opposite of the like doomer mindset. But John and Justin, I think we should rapid fire a few of our topics here. Maybe we'll wrap up in 10 or 12, 15-ish minutes. Is that good with you guys?
Sure.
All right. I have a great segue for this one. All right. Because 10 minutes ago, I received a text message. It says, please pay your Ohio tolls by March 4th, 2025. That's
I'm getting that one too. Not Ohio, I'm getting Texas. Yes. Go ahead.
It says, to avoid excessive, I got to find it. I lost it.
SSPs.ixn.
Yeah. And the address, I'm gonna read it. Ganiev Zarez 1989 at rambler.ru, Russian domain. Kind of interesting.
Cool.
Not that convincing. I think I'm going to skip paying this one. But we hear that AI is the best friend and worst enemy of cybersecurity. Kind of curious, what new types of cyber attacks might we be I can't speak. Jeez.
I got you.
What's coming up, and where are you at? What's your thoughts on it?
I think phishing is really big. Voice phishing, where people are able to. Here's the thing, Stetson. Somebody can now download this video. They could I've talked a lot, so there's a lot of data to feed it. I know. I don't love it. They could download the video. They could take my audio. They could take my video. They could train it to a model, and they can have John Harden on their computer.
This is happening right now. There's a YouTuber. There's a guy that makes wooden tables like for 30 grand. Somebody cloned him and was like convincing people via WhatsApp. They cloned his face and did like a selfie thing. Keep going.
So vishing and the video form of it, I guess you'd also call it vishing. Vishing was originally like voice phishing, but I think you could apply it to video phishing now too. And now you can just have me on a call if you want, right? So I think what that means is the future is all about identity, and everything's identity based, and not just like identity as in I'm John Harden, but like, the traditional who I am, what I have access to, like model applies here. But I don't know what that, there's going to be a whole shift in identity in the future because, I really want a company to come in and disrupt identity, because my identity changes at every company I go to. It's different at Auvik. It's different at my next company. It's different at my previous company. It's these account-based identity. I want real identity everywhere across it. So phishing's big. Obviously, you're getting better and better like phishing attacks. I think that's a low-hanging fruit. But again, you should be able to leverage AI to really combat that. I do don't love it, but love the story about I think it was North Korea who managed to get 2 employees placed at a SaaS company, and they were able to start to exfiltration that way. Another one that really keeps me up at night is the fact that if we're really training all these models on our business data, like it's just the speed at which you can exfiltrate data just accelerated immensely. Like if I get popped today and they get access to an AI agent that has our company Copilot, like they can massively API call Copilot and rip everything in seconds and minutes. Now, whereas at least before they had to kind of like poke around a little bit and find what data they wanted to look at. And the reality is it's AI now, it's quantum computing, and whenever they break HTTPS certs, and that's dead, and it'll be the next thing after that. And it goes back to the same adage, like it's going to be used for good. It's going to be used for bad. Stay on top of it. Stay educated. Like my stuff's
Totally.
But some of the rest of the attacks coming.
Yeah, John, don't you feel like it's not even necessarily like phishing or like known vectors, but it's going to be people being like, hey, AI, break into Auvik networks, databases, help figure out some good ways that people haven't thought of yet, type of generative content.
Develop a 0-day.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge that, Joe. Justin, I like it. You're right. Mm-hmm. Script kiddies are able to use it and get further than they normally were. But you said something that I really am going to challenge. You said, help me think of a way to get into a company that I have not before. Therein lies where, if we want to kind of like, and one more last stump speech, I know we said we'd commit to being done in 12, AI is really good at capability and capacity. It is awful at creativity. And if you want to go to one slide, like one last slide it's not even done. So we're just going to like show it live and whatever. If you want to go to like one other point I'm hoping to make when I talk about workforce transformation, it's this chart right here. This is how like empty it is, but like humans are naturally curious. We're really good at being creative, but we have a limited capacity. We're just humans. Our brains run out. Like there's only so much hours in a day. Whereas ChatGPT or whatever AI model you've got is highly capable. So Justin, I didn't mean to make a mountain out of a molehill on your point, but like the magic of AI is taking human creativity and ingenuity and matching it with AI capacity and capability. And I don't have the next slide, but there would be a picture of them harmoniously standing in the top right of my chart. And so whereas yes, they're going to be able to use it to generate, script kiddies can generate 0 days or build whatever text they want. I'm going to challenge that for now. AI is not creating brand new attack vectors. And what that means for cybersecurity professionals is defend yourself against the known vulnerabilities, defend yourself against the known attacks, make sure you have great compliance, make sure you have great cybersecurity stacks and good internal employee processes around validation of identity and things like that. And for now, AI is not going to accelerate. It's just going to increase the amount of attacks because people have access to stuff they didn't have before, but it's not going to increase the ingenuity of attacks, I would argue.
All the Hollywood studios that are firing writers because they think they can use AI. I mean, that's another example of the race to the middle too then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't need like Avengers 94. I want something new. But I do love me some Avengers. I'm a sucker. I'm a glutton for it. I can't help it.
I feel like I take back what I said.
Love it. Let's two more points here. We'll kind of rapid fire. If AI takes your job tomorrow, what's your backup career plan? Go
learn AI and go take the next job on the application list that's saying I need people with AI skills.
All right. I feel like that's a bit of a cop out. I need a real.
I think what John's saying is that is like creativity. I mean, like find like the niche that AI can't penetrate right now because it's not good at creativity. That's the one thing that humans are going to probably be better at for, knock on wood. But that's really where you can add value that AI can't. And I think that's really that's all within us. And I think that's what we should be exploring.
All right. Fair point. What's yours, Justin?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably be like a personal chef if either of you guys need any,
Yes, please.
I think artists, musicians, and philosophers have a beautiful future in our world, in which they become more valuable than the practitioners. But that's like very hypothetical, pie in the sky, utopian world.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to take the really generic become a farmer answer, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably go off the grid too at that point.
Somewhere deep in the woods.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, John, Justin, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Our last thing here, anything to plug? Where can folks learn more about what you're up to, or reach out online, or what's this all about?
Well, yes, absolutely. If you guys are interested in learning more about Auvik, we actually didn't get to touch too much about Auvik, which is fine. You guys, all you need to know is that we're cool. We're actually doing a live demo that I'm hosting tomorrow that you can sign up for, and I believe we've got a link for it. You should see the banner in it below. But we're going to be talking about network visibility pitfalls with Lawrence Popa, who, if you guys think John is smart, wait till you guys see Lawrence. So make sure to check that out. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the sign up is in the banner. John, anything you want to plug?
No, I will add this. If you are, I'm looking for people that are out there applying AI down to their end customers. So if you are like a practitioner of IT, maybe at an IT managed service provider, and you're implementing AI, I'm trying to understand more. So anybody can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect and have a conversation, but I'm really trying to look at people that are implementing AI in businesses just to learn from peers.
Yeah, right on. And apologies, Justin, I don't have the link for that, but we will send it.
I have it. I'll post it in chat.
All right, fantastic. Yeah. We'll post that. What else? I think that's about it. This has been so much fun, guys.
I've enjoyed it. What would you? All right. Well, we filibuster and Justin gets this thing over here. What are you going to grow, Stetson? What are you going to grow as a farmer?
Oh man, I haven't thought about that deep enough. So maybe my answer isn't great. Can I backtrack it and say I just do woodworking? I got a CNC machine recently, so I think I just make like signs. I think AI can't do that.
Peak life would be trying to be Ron Swanson. Like I would be all in. Yeah, like yeah. You got to check out that Super Bowl commercial. That's real. He's a real woodworker. Like. I don't know. He's a true American Idol. I'll leave it off at that.
Yeah. We'll find a link for that too. I don't think I've seen it, but Justin, John, guys, thank you so much. I think we should do this again.
Absolutely.
The video.
Love to.
We could go on for hours, but we'll call it there. Have a great day, guys.
Love it, Stetson. Cheers.
Bye, y'all.